Yeah, pretty much.
I
There's
mean,
no there is, but it's well. Let's talk about this in the show. You son of a gun! Can I start the
I know.
doggone show?
Okay, okay.
Actually, the show has started. Welcome back to Crash and Eddie, everyone. Guess who we got? Guess who the cat dragged in today, people?
Yeah. How you
Mister
doing, Eddie?
Mister Crash. Where are you at? How's sunny El Salvador, man?
Oh, well, yeah, it's beautiful. They got a lot of Bitcoin flowing around down here.
Yeah, you catching any of it?
No, it seems to be going the other direction, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, that's how she rolls sometimes, man.
Yeah. So
So,
what's going on?
well, let's take a look at the markets real quick for the people here. We got Bitcoin at 62,119 on CoinMarketCap.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and it's been pretty much consolidating, which is healthy and good. And you know, something that came up recently, and I've heard several times, is how the halving that we had last year.
right.
I think it was March, right?
Yeah, I think of 2020, yep.
Yeah, March of 2020. Historically, every time there's a halving, it's approximately 550 days after the halving that Bitcoin hits its peak for that cycle.
So that puts it.
And 550 days would be 15 days from now.
Woohoo! Is that right?
Yeah. Now on top of that, Eddie, when there's massive money printing historically in any culture, it takes at least 18 months for that printing to turn into an inflationary um, prospect, or inflation to really start kicking in. And it
Right.
was 18 months ago that COVID hit, and they started dumping money and just printing. So we got kind of a tsunami of effects coming up here in this fourth quarter that um, could be dramatic.
That is fascinating. Yeah, that could be.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I don't see a lot of people. It's funny. You have this oh, we're going to start tapering. We're going to start tapering. If they taper, they will taper so shortly, briefly wise, and then they're going to have to pull it right back cuz their backs are
Oh, and then
against the
complete,
wall.
like, yeah, it'll be like 1/16 of a blip, whatever.
Yeah, they'll
They, they,
stop
they
by.
can't. Every fiat currency, well, I don't know if I want to get into all this, but once you start printing like this, you can't stop. It just, there's one end. There's only one end to this, and
Yeah,
it's not good.
and it's going to the new financial system, and we're looking at it. You all are looking at the new financial system right now. So
Absolutely, yeah. And
have a
even the power structure realizes this, and they're trying to adapt as fast as they can to get their claws into the new system. However, Bitcoin is, well, it's immutable. It's uncorruptible.
right.
So it could be financial freedom for all of us if we don't let them wreck it.
I don't think. Well, they're going to harness it a little bit. They're trying to harness it with futures, okay, which they did with gold. But the problem with that and Bitcoin is there's very little Bitcoin, whereas gold they produce all the time. You're producing more gold all
Right.
the time. They say there's a finite supply. There's not really a finite supply at all. They produce it all the time, and as
No.
soon as they can produce it and sell it, they sell it.
Yeah, and the biggest producer is in the East.
Right, right. Don't say that word. Are you trying to avoid certain words, Crash? Because that's advisable.
I, I, I'm pleading the fifth.
Got you. I got you. So, yeah. So today's show, guys, hit the like and subscribe. Remember, this is not financial advice. We're just two guys trying to educate you, and we will end up entertaining you a little bit as well, as you know.
Hey, bringing up, since you brought up education,
Yep.
do you ever hear the quote by H.G. Wells? It says that civilization is the race between education and catastrophe.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one,
That's what
man.
civilization is. Either civilization is educated and the people are kept up to speed with the knowledge that the civilization has, or it collapses.
Wow. That's pretty profound.
Yeah. Well, you
Makes
brought up
sense.
education, so it kind of popped into my head.
Yeah. Yep. So we're
The
all
bulb.
getting educated. So Crash wanted to kind of take a look at Bitcoin a little bit further today and what's going on with the space surrounding that, but keep it on the light side. Tight and light, we're going to call this today.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I want to compare and contrast that to our new friend, Shiba Inu, which is at 40s, point 40s, and a 4895er.
Oh, I know. I wish I would have put so much more money into that thing.
Do you have some of that for real?
We both bought some at the same time. I think we both bought like $50, didn't we?
You and my friend? Yeah, my friend did.
Yeah,
I remember that, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think he might have put 75 into that sucker back when. He's
Mm,
he's he's under 3. He's under 40s and a 3. It's hard to even
yeah,
quote these things now, isn't it? It's
yeah, yeah. I mean, when you got a 0.0000.
So right now that has a circulating supply of 394 trillion with a T.
Yeah, I
So
mean, if tokenomics is part of your research on whether you're going to invest in something, I mean, you would never invest in this.
right. Right.
Never.
They have a huge community. Well, the thing is with this is everyone that buys this, from what I've seen, has millions of them. You don't just buy 100. I don't
Yeah,
even think you could buy 100.
right.
But you people just buy millions of them, and I don't know. It's fascinating to see even up to coin 11, and you have all these zeros. It's such a fraction, and you wonder, is it gonna pull a Dogecoin? You know,
I don't know.
it's
I'm a Shiba Inu millionaire.
it's interesting. They've already burned half of them right away. They burned half. They had 1 quadrillion. I think what did they do? They sent half to Vitalik Buterin because this is a ERC20 token,
Hmm.
and then he donated like a couple billion to some organization, and then
In India.
yeah, and then burned the rest. He didn't want the responsibility.
Yeah.
So I mean, they can do that at any time too. You never
Yeah,
know.
it's a strange. I mean, the whole ecosystem is, it's very diverse. There's so many different ways of looking at this stuff, and
Yeah,
um, but when it all shakes out, there's going to be several hundred or maybe 1,000 that are going to be functioning and operating and are going to continue to operate in a functional, profitable way.
right.
I mean, but forever there's going to be people that are going to be creating coins and trying to do it better. And
Yeah, and you
yeah,
can always stack new technology on these things. That's the thing. I
hmm
mean, they're coming out with a DEX, but it's funny because these meme coins, all the dog coins, and there's dozens now, And they're such
Hmm.
a slap in the face to fiat. I mean, they're really just such a mockery of
Hmm.
fiat currency. It's like, oh, you got this? Well, here's something with a dog on it. And guess what? People are buying it.
I'm waiting for some fish coins, man, because there's a couple fish coins I would definitely invest in,
Fish
like like
coins.
a barracuda
Yeah, you'd
or
think it's.
yeah, or a piranha.
We'll see, man.
A
We'll
piranha
see.
coin. I can't believe piranha coin hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, no kidding.
Maybe there is one. I don't know. It's probably so far down on the list I never read it.
Yeah, they're probably. Let's take a look real quick, man. Piranha. Let's see if there's a piranha coin. Piranha. Piranhas. SP $PIR, baby. There is a piranha.
Oh, there is a piranha coin. I'll be darned. What
uh,
did they do?
well, market data is untracked. So I don't
Yeah.
know. Piranhas.finance is the website. There's no ranking. It's on a bunch of watches. Usually this means it's going to come out in the future when it has this. So
That's funny.
interesting. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of crap out there. But anyways, so we'll see how Shiba Inu does. That's going to be interesting to just watch and
Yeah.
just watch it develop. But so back to Bitcoin. What were you saying?
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So there's really a couple questions I want to ask you, and it'll help illustrate what I'm trying to express here is, okay. So regarding measurements, um, how many different types of measurements are there that we use globally? Basically, we use metric and
The
hello,
Yeah, I'm here. And the English, what is it? New English.
English standard they call it. Yeah.
Yeah, right. English
Right.
standard.
So, we use inches and
Pounds
most of
and
the rest of
feet.
the world use metric, right?
Right.
Right. So there's basically two standards, but in engineering and things like that, they can uh, combine them together and they can read prints and do all that stuff. And but the fact is that so for measurements, so anything we measure, whether it's fluids or weight or anything we measure, we have pretty much an international standard.
Right.
But when it comes to money, every country has its own standard. They have their own currency. And they're trying to get them all to revolve around the U.S. dollar, but historically, you've had gold as a store of value. You've had a lot of different sources of money that have been used in different parts of the world, and it's never really been standardized. Money has never been standardized globally, and
Right.
that is what Bitcoin does do
Right. Yeah,
for
it
the
is.
first time ever.
Right. And all these cryptos, I mean, that's the difference with them is they're global. So,
Hmm. And
and
they're and all those other money standards that we've had have all been corruptible.
right. Yeah. So what's the
And
question?
now
Oh,
we
that
got
was the
Bitcoin.
question.
There isn't even a corporation. There isn't a CEO. There isn't a president. There's no entity that you can go to and try to corrupt Bitcoin. It can't be done.
Right. Yeah, it's something else, and it's why they want us on this system. This system is collapsing, and we have I mean, you see Russia trading more and more in
Hmm.
not in U.S. dollars, trading oil. This is all about the
Hmm.
petrodollar, and
Hmm.
it is being removed. China more and more is doing it. So,
Yep.
but
And apparently there's more and more countries that are very quietly buying up billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin
Yeah, it seems like that.
very quietly.
So what kind of info do you have on that crash? It sounds like you got some good info for us.
Nothing I can discuss.
Come
No,
on, you can't
I
do
can't. I
that.
mean, it's just it's just okay. Maybe it's just we'll just call it speculation. If you're
Come on, man. This
if
is
you're
just between
Russia or
us.
Pakistan or Argentina or Venezuela, you got smart people in your country. Are you buying the next standard, the first ever standard money on the planet?
Of course.
Of course,
Right?
especially when you see the okay. Well, the money printing in all the central banks across the planet, right? It's not just the U.S. All fiat currencies are being debased,
Right.
right? Where do you go to protect your value that you have in your country?
Right. You're
Where else
going.
can you go?
Yeah, you have to go to gold or to crypto, Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Mm-hmm.
so do you think though all these countries they're just massively printing their money and because
They're printing it and they're using it to buy
right.
Bitcoin.
So what countries are we referring to today?
I would be shocked if virtually every country isn't doing this.
Well, they're not, right? There's going to be some stupid ones out there because there always is.
Well, yeah, and the most of them are going to be the historical monarchy countries like us. But I mean, if you're on a U.S. dollar as your legal tender,
Right.
and you've just been abused for decades, hence, for example, El Salvador. Now, El Salvador apparently things are going very good with their transition to Bitcoin.
What are you referring to? What do you got from that? Any info on that?
Well, I mean, it's a country of I think 8 million people, and um, they basically have 1.5 million people that have a bank account, so that leaves 6.5 million unbanked, and they now have close to 4 million people with cryptocurrency accounts
Yeah.
versus
Right.
1.5 million with bank accounts.
Right.
So it's opened up it's created it's filled the gap of the unbanked, and it's only been a month,
I know, right?
a
Yeah,
little over a month.
it can happen fast, and I think there's always in this space there is so much going on behind the scenes that no one knows about, and you won't
Hmm.
hear about it till later on in the year or years down the road.
Yeah.
So there is positioning. There was a big G7 meeting recently where they agreed. They agreed on banking terms, basically on like standards for moving money around. I know that was recent, and that's big. It's all going to start with the G7 and then go to the G20 and then out from there. So you'd think the
Yeah, but
G.
all these small countries that are flexible and have nothing to lose, they're going to be going another direction, and they are
Yeah.
going to become extremely powerful, I believe, in their ability to do trade.
Yeah, and it's not like we're gonna fall off the face of the earth. It's just gonna
No,
level the playing field.
it is. It
It
is. That's
really
exactly what it's going to do. It's going to level the playing field because it's going to be. it's not corruptible.
Right. I
Now,
mean,
I don't know if you know this or not, but El Salvador is, particularly back in the 2000s, was well, the 2000s and early, probably to 2012 or 13, was extremely industrial. They had a lot of industry. They really dominated the glass industry in particular, and then all of a sudden China came in and just started flooding the market. Um, and a lot of that, their ability to do that was the fact that El Salvador was on the U.S. dollar.
right.
They want to be able to control their own destiny, and they can't do
Sure.
that. But they can do that if they have Bitcoin as a legal tender.
Hey, on that note, let's listen to this quick video where Lynn Alden actually talks about this. Hold on.
And so that has made it so that essentially U.S. it props up the value of the dollar, so it makes our exports less competitive, and it gives us more importing power. And so for the United States, the downside for us is that we started running these massive structural trade deficits. That they just never close. It just pretty much keeps getting bigger over time, and that supplies the rest of the world with dollars. And those countries then take those dollars, and it filters up to the central banks and the sovereign wealth funds, and then they reinvest those dollars. And a lot of that goes back into U.S. markets, and so they buy our bonds, they buy our stocks, they buy our real estate, which sounds good. It sounds you want the rest of the world investing in your country. But the downside is that it means that our net international investment position keeps deteriorating. Basically, the foreign sector owns a larger and larger percent of our productive assets. It's like we're becoming kind of a nation of renters as the foreign sector increasingly owns our most valuable things, our land, our companies. They're creditors to our government, and so this cycle has been in place for you can call it about 45 years now. And there's been counter rallies where other markets do better. Like, so the 80s, you had Japan do very well. In the 2000s, you had emerging markets do very well. But this has been a very strong period of performance for U.S. assets, somewhat at the cost of say, the U.S. industrial base and the U.S. blue-collar workers. So we've kind of running this big engine of trade deficits that get recycled back into our capital markets, which are very good for those of us that own assets. But we're starting to see signs of that reversing. So, for the longest time, oil was only priced in dollars. Now we see Russia pricing it in euros, which is important because they're one of the biggest exporter of oil. They also have, enough military protection that there's nothing we can do about that as from the United States perspective. China is, they're doing trade with Russia, and Europe's doing trade with Russia increasingly in euros, rather than dollars, and so that's more currency diversification, and we're starting to see, for example, Saudi Arabia is still pricing their oil in dollars, but you know, as we see maybe tensions between Saudi Arabia and the United States, as we see that now China is the biggest customer of Saudi Arabia, that situation could potentially change over time. And so overall, this system has probably run its course. The rest of the world is finding it restrictive, and Americans, especially those that didn't benefit from the huge appreciation in capital markets, are also finding it rather restrictive. And so I think for a variety of kind of just mathematical reasons and geopolitical reasons, that is probably going to change over the next decade or so. But it's one of those things that it's got a very strong network effect and takes a lot of time to change.
It's done, people. It
Yeah.
started and it is going to be done down the road. It's going to take time, but it's happening.
And you're talking about the U.S. dollar not being the
World reserve currency. Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's and that's all has to do with oil. And I think honestly, I think it's a big reason we pulled out of Afghanistan. I think that's a big reason is because it's done. It's just, I mean, it's not done, but it's been determined that it's going to happen. The world's not going to be under the U.S.'s thumb anymore, so to speak. And it's going to be pushed along, I think, quicker than people think because of technology. And
Yeah.
this, I mean, you see how fast this system is being put into place now. I mean, you can't even keep up with it, you know?
No,
So,
no, it's unbelievable. I mean,
yeah. So anyways, that is that. We'll drop a link to the full video. That one's kind of a short one. We got one other one that I want you guys to listen to from. It's a pomp video. So what else you want to talk about? Any other ones that you want to talk about today, Crash? Any other digital assets that you got your eye on?
No, not in particular. There's, some people that I met with that were, promoting their shit coins, and
Yeah.
you know, everybody's trying to sell you to buy something that they own because they want everybody to buy it so it goes up.
And they can get out, right?
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
right.
So, I want the market leaders and I want the blockchain leaders. All these other projects run on these larger cap platforms, level one platforms, and
Yeah,
I
the
think
level
that's
ones are where you want to
yeah,
focus on. Yep. You can
yep,
make money in the other ones trading and stuff, but the heart of this is the level ones. And,
hmm
I personally focus on kind of the new financial system ones, kind of as
yeah.
a
You like the
core.
DeFi? I do too. I'm
We're,
with you on the DeFi, and I think that it's going to be decades that's going to be extremely profitable. Um,
yeah.
but gaming, I think is going to be secondary as far as the next part of the market that's going to be explosive.
Yeah, there's so much, and I think
Gaming and NFTs, yeah.
yeah, NFTs are big, so we'll keep focusing on some of this stuff, and we'll bring stuff to your attention as we can. You guys just hit the like and subscribe, spread the word, send this email to or this show to a friend. If you think of it, share it. So let's listen to one other quick one here, just for entertainment's sake.
I appreciate you including me, guys. I'm sorry I'm a couple minutes late.
You're not late. I already
but
told him I screwed up. I screwed up.
It's big to be on with you, as you know, and I'm listening carefully to the conversation, and I can just give my 2 cents. The people that don't understand it, they will trade it. And the people that understand it are going to hold on for dear life because they recognize that they've got waterfront property. They've got waterfront, irreplaceable digital property that's going to appreciate for generations. And so they're not going to trade it. But I think your point is well taken that there will be professional traders that trade this thing and they'll take their profits. And even, my close friend Jim Cramer, several months ago, you may have remembered this, Pomp. You got him into Bitcoin. You helped me get into Bitcoin, which I want to thank you for. But Jim said he sold it to pay down his mortgage. That's what old fogies like me and Jim Cramer do with money,
So this is an interesting it's a pretty interesting interview. He runs a fund. It's called Skybridge. We'll drop the link down below. Listen to the whole thing. It's a pretty good interview. But he put, I think they put like 400 million. It's now well over $1 billion. But he talks about how he's on Wall Street and he's running a fund, so they have to very delicately get into this, and they have to do it in Wall Street ways. So this ETF is a real big help to firms like them because they can get exposure to it.
Right.
But even he says that the way to do it, if you can, is own the actual thing, And then he gets into other cryptos too. Like I think it sounds like his favorite one outside of Bitcoin is Algo. So he's Italian. The founder of Algo is Italian too, so he probably is looking at that a little bit. But I mean, he's a brilliant dude, the guy that started Algo. Just have a listen to it. Yeah, we got some technical difficulties here, people. Just have a listen to it.
Oh, work.
Yeah. What do you know, people?
Is going to be able to trade it for goods and services. You see what I'm saying? So now what you create is Satoshi Nakamoto
Great.
created is a trusted network where we don't even have to use this anymore, or we don't even have to use the bank. We can use that trusted network, that decentralized internet highway system. Do you see how brilliant that is, guys? I mean, I know you guys see it, but I'm trying to impress it upon the people that are listening to you because you got the best business show and they want to learn from you. So I'm trying to explain to them we're moving from this and we're moving from a magnetic strip known as a credit card in your wallet. And we're moving from those electronic digits. If I want to buy a G-Wagon tonight, I call Chase. I say, wire 200 grand over to the Mercedes, and the G-Wagon shows up. But those electronic digits are worthless other than the fact that they're a ledger. They go down in my account, up in the Mercedes-Benz account. I got the G-Wagon.
All right.
How is the Bitcoin anything different from what I just said? In fact, if anything, my God, it's audited. It's audited by a decentralized nodal system, and it's airtight, and it's a fixed supply. You tell me what I'm missing, Bob. You tell me what I'm missing. Invite somebody on like Peter Schiff, who's, tutte pots, which for the non-Italians, that's like a chicken running in somebody's head. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. And I'm trying to be polite to the guy when I debate him, but what are you talking about, Peter?
All right, before I was going to let you go, but I got to ask one question. You brought up a G-Wagon.
Yeah, anything you want. Anything you want. I'm finally caffeinating, so I know you guys felt I was a little under-energized for this thing.
No. You're always bringing the energy. What's the craziest thing you've ever bought? Like you look back and you're like, man, that was nuts.
All right,
whatever the thing you just thought of, that's what I want to hear.
You got to understand this. Let me stipulate. Okay? I'm nouveau riche Italian, right? My dad was a crane operator. My mother was a homemaker. When I got into Harvard Law School, Anthony, my mother thought it was Hartford Law School. She had no clue. She was like ready to take me to Hartford, Connecticut. I'm like, no, Ma, it's in Boston. Well, why the hell would they call it Hartford Law School if it's in Boston? Because it's called Harvard, Ma, right? I mean, that's the family I grew up in. So I had no money as a kid. When I started making money, the stupidest thing I bought was the Batmobile from the 1992 Batman Returns movie starring Michael Keaton, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Danny DeVito. And I owned that for about 10 years. And I used to put the Bat outfit on and drive it around on Halloween with my kids. Okay. And by the way, it wasn't, you couldn't drive the thing. There was no license plate or anything like that. It was a prop car. And I used to bottom out everywhere in Port Washington when I was driving around in it, but there was a propane tank in the back. You could flip the switch and the flames would shoot out of the back. It was effing fantastic. Italians love cars. Okay. So now I have the garden variety Lamborghini because I love cars. I mean, what am I going to do? Of course I'm going to have a Lamborghini. When I was a kid, I had a 1979 Camaro. And someday I said, I'm going to make some money and I own a Lamborghini. And so I eventually bought one. But
what am I going to do? Of course I'm going to buy a Lambo. I got to have one. So
yeah, well, I'm Italian. I like a cars. Like a Fiat.
He likes to name drop. He likes to name drop that wealth a little bit, but overall, it's a pretty good interview. He touches on a lot of stuff on the institutional side of Bitcoin, which is fascinating because that's really where this is going, and it hasn't really even started. It really has not. They're just starting to sniff around at that because now it's in some.
I don't think they are. I think they're all heavily just leaning into it as hard as they can. They just
But it's all about regulations, and the regulations just came out as far as
they want to
ETF.
consume as much Bitcoin as they can, so they can offer it. They have it to offer to their clients, but they're not going to be offering it at $62 or $65 or $70,000. They're going to be offering it when it's $150.
Yeah, that's true. It sounds like it's pretty. I mean, listen to the interview. He gets into it. He says basically right now they're starting to, but like 6 months ago, not at all. They just weren't calling on it, and they weren't really getting into it because of regulations. Now, on the individual side, I bet they were,
Uh-huh.
But even this stuff, I mean, it's they're not even getting into, just the Bitcoin. They're doing these ETFs and stuff because that's really how this stuff's structured now. I think going forward, they're going to restructure things so they can hold the real Bitcoin. But by then, going to be a lot more.
They're just all holding it individually. I mean,
Yeah.
they are the whales that are out there.
Yeah. Yeah, Wall Street's in, but they I mean, honestly though,
They're loving it. They're like, oh yeah, we can work for this firm and make a couple $1 million a year, continuing the system while it collapses. But I'm taking my capital and I'm moving it into cryptocurrency personally, and I'm going to own my boss.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what people are doing.
Mm-hmm.
People in the know, but I mean, look at how early still, though, right? Unbelievably early still, people. I mean,
Yeah.
Talk to your average
no,
Joe.
I
Talk
guess
to anyone that you see, guys, on the street. Just ask them.
Yeah,
You'll see.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, all the time. It's like, oh yeah, it's probably too late to get in now, right? And I'm like, no. It's like in its infancy. I explained to them, we're at 2.6 trillion. If just the gold market moved in, not the stock market or derivatives or property or anything else of value on the planet, just gold moved into cryptocurrency, it would go from 2.6 to 200.6 trillion.
Wow. Yeah. So there's a lot going on, people, and it is hundreds of trillions, if not quadrillions, this market. So because everything's going to be tokenized. So that's what we're dealing with here. So
yeah.
What else you got, Crash? Let's wrap this stuff up here. We're getting long in the tooth as usual.
Yeah, just again, H.G. Wells, civilization is the race between education and catastrophe.
Nice.
And with that, everybody enjoy your day and live in the present.
All right, people. Be good, do the right thing, and we will talk to you real soon. Hit the like and subscribe. We'll hit you with another one ASAP. Crash, safe travels, my friend.
Adios.
We're out. All right, so
Edy,
what do you got, Crash?
Dude, your tech was pretty good today.
Not
I'm pretty impressed. Your tech was pretty good.
How is it better when you're on the road? That's what's making me very curious.
Well, we did make some changes.
Yeah.
And I think next time I'm back stateside, I will use this same medium.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Although I did recognize on the last one there was still a little bit of an echo, so that must be on your side.
Yeah, there was, right? But not when I did the single one, right? There was no echo.
Well, no, it's never an echo on you. It's an echo on me coming into your system.
I think it sounds kind of cool, though, man. Because it's like... we got a car going off in the background. Because it's like you're all of a sudden floating to the moon or doing something weird, and you just start echoing, and it's like, hey, it's time to wrap up the show.